Welcome everyone to the live stream tonight. I'm your host, International Master William Pascal. We are Sladgie on Twitch, and also known as under the account Sparkle Horse, the Sparkle Horse tribute account on lichess.org. So, what's up, everybody? Welcome. We're doing subscriber analysis stream tonight. For the subscribers, you're welcome to submit a game. Up to 10 players. We have 5 or 6 at the moment. Up to 10 players can submit games here to the stream. We have Stochastic, Acerbate, Sumahair, Hey It's Miro, and the game Ivanchuk. Jabava, was that a mistake? No, that was not a mistake. That was Spectacular Camel's submission. So that's 5. And it leaves 5 slots open. You forgot to send me the game. So where's... Well, actually, Bijak, there's your submission from last week that I didn't do. So it's up to you. You can either go with the old one, or you can submit a new one. You tell me what you want to do. Alright. Welcome, everybody. What's up? What's happening? I'll do the old one. Alright, what is happening? Chess mastery essentially consists of analyzing chess positions accurately. Exactly. Wow, Botvinnik knew what he was talking about. That's amazing. Alright, I wondered where I got that from. Alright, the old man knew what he was talking about. We are live here on the stream. Guys, don't forget to support the stream in some way, either by watching, subscribing, donating, starting a hype train, what have you. Marco 09888, welcome. We have 5 games submitted thus far. It's a long Thursday for me, so I'm a little tired. I feel a little worn out. Lots of work today, but hopefully we'll get into this. It takes me a while to kind of get into the flow of analyzing. So I guess we'll start with Stochastic. I don't know if Stochastic, is even around, but this is a new player. If I go to my chat, we can probably find his comment here. Stochastic chess. I was white. No, there's no comment. All right. There he is. Thanks for the analysis. Okay, so you're here. You were white in this game. It's advanced French. Well, don't thank me yet. We'll see what we can do with this. I'm happy to be here. It's been raining no stopping for the last 5 days in Budapest, and I'm running out of oxygen in my room because there's no air. But we'll see how I do here. All right, so Stochastic. Yeah, it's like Scholastic, but it's Stochastic. It's e4, e6, d4, d5, e5. And I don't know, objectively how strong you are. This is a classical game over the board. My personal opinion about closed positions is that you have to be pretty strong. I wouldn't really recommend the things like the advanced variation to players below 1800. Because I think closed positions with space advantage requires quite strong strategic understanding. If you're a beginner who's under 1800, I would say keep it an open game. Maybe even play the simple exchange variation, although I don't really like that in general. But anyways, okay, e5. I think objectively the strongest moves are knight c3 and knight d2, but I'm not here to discuss just opening theory. So we're gonna go over the game. Now black played c5. There are a few sidelines, but they're not really super significant. An interesting statistically insignificant statistic. Alright, forget about that. c5, c3. Correct. Now black chose to play bishop d7. One thing I think, I don't know a lot about the French and the advanced variation, but sometimes I wonder if queen b6 is a little bit overrated. Anyways, I mean, if I had to bet for like $1 million, like what black's best move is here, I would say knight c6 or bishop d7. They're more fundamental than queen b6. So anyway, we have bishop d7. Now, white plays knight f3, and black plays queen b6, and the plan is to trade the bishop off with bishop to b5. So the idea is that black will trade his dark square bishop for white's good bishop, the bad bishop for the good bishop. I played this against Hikaru 20 years ago. One of my only Frenches of all time, and I don't remember how it went. I ended up losing, but I could have probably held on. Might have been the same variation for all I remember. I don't remember what Hikaru played here, but bishop d3. I think this is a move, right? Is it too early to play c4? I'm wrong, apparently. Too early. Yeah, you're supposed to wait for bishop b5. Okay, so first we move the bishop to d3 or e2. So I guess if you play bishop d3, then bishop b5, there's no c4 because this is like, well, bishop takes c4 probably. I don't know. I'm not even convinced about this. Move 11 is talking about knight a3. Welcome, move 11. Knight a3. I didn't realize that was considered to be a serious thing here. In other lines of the advanced French, it's a normal thing, but I didn't know it was an option. Okay. It is. There are some games with knight a3, but it looks kind of unusual. I would think like there'd be some exchange on a3, no? And then like bishop b5 would hit. If you do knight a3, cd4, cd4, it's possible to play this and then do like bishop b5 or not. There's no bishop b5 because of rook a b1. Interesting. So this piano versus Milan Pacher, this guy I drew with a couple weeks ago in the Hungarian Team Championship, this piano lost. Wow. So bishop b5 doesn't work. It's interesting, move 11. I don't know what the status of knight a3 is. It looks like a3 is very commonly played. I'm not sure I love that either. So you do a3 and then c4. Wow. That's amazingly time consuming to play a3 and then c4. I would think like a3 wouldn't really help our c4 very much. Huh. I don't know. I mean, intuitively, I would say bishop e2 or bishop d3, and I don't know. If you play bishop e2 and black plays bishop b5, you can play c4 here. I guess this is the line that I'm thinking of. The bishop pair looks good there. What do I think? I'm not sure it's my favorite bishop pair of all time in the Milan Pacher variation. The bishop pair looks good, but black's structure looks good too. Someone played queen b3. Okay, here. How does this work? Volkov was black. Wow, he actually has a6. And then castles, queen a5. So it's interesting. Well, there is no bishop pair anymore. But a 2200 holding Volkov to a draw isn't really a great result for black. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't personally really trust knight a3. I would play bishop e2. So, white played bishop d3 here. Black normally exchanges and then plays. See, the thing is, if he exchanges on d4, if you take with a c-pawn, now this actually works. That's basically black's idea. Here's a Fallujah game from 2019. I mean, if you castle, bishop takes d3, queen d3, white has more space, but black traded off his bad bishop. So it should be more or less okay for black. But white is also okay. But that's the plan. I think I recall that this is the main line. And this is actually, well, it feels more like a Sicilian than a French, kind of, after this. e5 is a little bit lonely. So knight c6, knight c6, bc6. It looks like a Taimanov Sicilian or something. Black's pretty solid, but white is okay too, you know. I don't think you can expect to gain an advantage with the advanced variation, but you definitely should be like equal. Definitely you shouldn't be worse. It's a solid line for white. But this I think is a mistake, you know, for him to play bishop e5 right away. So that's like, what's the point, you know? Why is it a mistake? Because it takes bishop takes c5. Why is that so bad for black? If queen takes, his queen is misplaced, and you have bishop e3. But why is d takes c5, bishop takes c5 so bad for black? White castles. So d takes c5, bishop takes c5, castles. Presumably bishop takes d3, queen takes d3. And the problem is, because black's pieces are on like c5 and b6, it's hard for black to develop his knight. So basically after this, after takes, bishop takes, castles. Oh, wow, b4 right away. I thought it would just be castles. b4 right away. Bishop takes d3, queen d3, and bishop f8. Black has an okay score here, but very few games. This is a problem, because the knight would only be able to go to h6, and white might take it and disrupt the structure. Shabalov, Volkov, 2004. Yeah, so he's supposed to exchange on d4. This is a mistake, and you know that. And then white played b4, and this is book. So he wasn't aware of the fact that he could actually trade here. B takes c, and then presumably black has like queen a6, and white can't castle. So that's not great. I think that's the way he should go. Instead, he just moved his bishop back to f8. This probably gives you like additional options. I thought bishop e3. That's what you did. So there's only one game where my friend Alexandru was black. Interesting. I'm not sure that he plays the French on a regular basis. Yeah, this looks kind of sketchy for black. He did what Manea did. Yeah, he's definitely better off playing the other way. Bishop takes d3. I think that black just didn't realize he could do that. So bishop f8, bishop e3. This looks good. Queen a6. Kakatiri, I think there's room for a game. Wow, and now bishop c2. So you came up with a theoretical novelty here. That's an interesting idea. Bishop c2, presumably our plan is something like knight d4. Well, I don't know. You have to analyze the position to decide if this is good or not. The bishop will station itself on like c4. Frankly, I don't trust Black's game. Karpachev just played bishop takes, queen takes, a4, queen c4. This is weird, but Black's position looks defensible, and ended up losing anyway. But it's possible that your move is even stronger. I wouldn't be surprised if this is even stronger. So knight d7, a4. I thought maybe this, but now this is a problem. So knight d7 keeps pressure on the e5 pawn. a4 is not a threat directly because the rook is here, but you will be threatening next move, like something like knight a3. Wow. Okay, I didn't think we were taking time to play bishop d4 here. I thought our main priority would be to go for the light square bishop. So knight a3. And you're threatening I would think maybe b5 even in some positions. You have two ideas at least of this and sometimes this to kind of cut him off. So this is really awkward for Black. But bishop d4 feels a tiny bit slow. Knight a3, knight g6, and now b5. Yeah, that's one of the ideas. While you're at it, I mean, you can consider playing g3, but I guess you probably, I don't know. I mean, you have a couple options. You could also play queen d2. So there's no immediate problem. The problem, I think, in this position is the c5 gets loose. So now Black has access to the c5 square. You take on c4. This is very good for you, but the big question will be, was it worth it? Was it worth it for you to do this in terms of like the cost of him being able to use the c5 square? Overall, like, White's position looks good, and you have a big space advantage. I mean, you're one move away from castling. Yeah. This pawn is weak, but I mean, I don't think that's the biggest issue here. The bigger issue is like your potential attacking chances on the king side. What do you think about Black castling queen side? That's pretty crazy, right? Not going to happen. If Black tried to castle queen side, it's like suicide. I don't think this pawn is even the issue, you know. Obviously there's knight g5, but first we have to protect the pawn on e5, so like queen e2, and then we're threatening that, which is like devastating. So Black has a bad game. It's really bad. He cannot castle queenside. It's a perfect game by White. Now rook e1 overprotecting. Not a bad move, but maybe we go here instead. You have other possibilities. Queen e2, g3 obviously, to prevent knight f4 and prepare h4, h5. I think that Black is pretty much like in trouble here. Maybe bishop e7 is a bad move. Maybe he should play this and try to trade pieces. I mean, I think that Black's pretty desperate here. How crazy of an idea is it to play bishop c5? I don't know. I don't like Black's position, and obviously, like, you can take back with the pawn, and you still have strong attacking chances on the king side. I mean, I think his big mistake was really not exchanging on d3. Rook e1, castles, and then h4. Whoa. And it's like, well, the guy actually played knight f4. Are you rushing here? Are you Russian? Are you rushing? Would it be better to just prophylactically play like g3? You have no problem with your white squares whatsoever. There's zero risk. Zero risk for white in playing g3. You're never going to get mated on the white squares. You can play this whenever. I would think like black might even consider sacking a pawn with knight d3 here. This is really weird. So he goes here. If you go here, he goes here. You go here. He goes here, you go here. Say this position happens. You're up a pawn, but your extra pawn is kind of backward, you know, so it feels like there's some chance that black might not lose. I think you were better off not giving him any counterplay, you know, so h5 was like pushing too fast. You should have played this, then maybe knight c5, you know, queen e2. He could still do this sort of pawn sack idea, and maybe he should, but his other knight is bad, and it's going to have to retreat back, which is good for you. So I think you should have played queen e2 ASAP, probably like right away. Or maybe g3 followed by queen e2. And then again, you know, this doesn't even work. Well, he's just a clear pawn down. Takes here and go back. So there are better ways to do it. And then this looks weird. I don't like what's going on here now. You played knight d2. But he has this. Still, you're probably like better. Idea of protecting the pawn. Right, he has to. Yeah, so this is interesting now. It feels like you might have some kind of tactic here. Like, knight takes here? Probably doesn't work. He's triple attacking e5. That is annoying. So you play queen e4, and then he has this. Yeah, I mean, black should have been in big trouble already. h5 here. Even if you lose that pawn, it's not the end of the world. I mean, imagine his knight on, like... Seriously, imagine his knight on h5. If you played queen d2, what does black play? He probably has to go here. I mean, seriously. If he plays knight takes h5, you're like winning a knight, aren't you? You're winning a knight. So, I don't know. I mean, if you just do queen d2, you don't need to defend this pawn on h5. Black might have to go there or something, or just sack a pawn with knight d3. Anyway, this doesn't look right. You know, white got too passive with knight d2. You still might have something here, though. Okay, I'm not retreating. How about an exchange sack? It's probably too much. It's playable. I would say you have some compensation, but maybe not sure if it's enough. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah, you could sack the exchange. Apparently it's about equal. It's a judgment call. If you protect your f4 pawn. This, however, I'm not crazy about. I guess here you still have some compensation, but this knight d3 is gonna kill a lot of your compensation. So black really should just do that. He went here. That's really bad. I mean, that's not as good a way to do it, I think. Like, he should not, nullify your bishop. I guess now you have rook e3 with ideas of this. It's still pretty dangerous for black. It still looks very dangerous for black. Knight e3. Right. Yeah, I mean, so you have close to compensation. The bishop on d4 isn't great. You have a sack on c6, though. Black has to be really careful here. And you have a rook lift. Right? No substitute for concrete calculation. I don't know if white has enough compensation or not, but it's close. You're going to have to see this exchange through and watch the back rank. Wow. So queen f4, bishop e7. I see. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of options, huh? Bishop takes, queen check, and then h6, and you're winning. However, I saw this crazy game last month, a couple months ago, where black escaped with something like king f8. And could this possibly work? No. You're winning. Alright. Wow. Queen f4 is like the best move on the board. So rook e3 is best. Queen f4 is best. And now, apparently you're winning. Yeah, I mean, taking doesn't help because he has rook h8. So this is pretty cool. I know the computer suggested this. Problem is, this is covered. So white's still better. What do we do? Pawn takes pawn? Can't. We have to take back. Then rook c8. Yeah, I mean, maybe black can hang on. It looks like it's possible. He's maybe not lost. Yeah, but that's amazing. You know, he thought he was doing the right thing here with bishop c5, but it turns out it's like a huge mistake. Maybe he should just sack the exchange right away. I mean, if that's what it comes down to, right? He had rook takes d4, right? People are just way too materialistic in general. This has to be a good try. I know that move because it's like a c3 Sicilian position, and I did that against, well, in d5. It's common to do a rook sack on d5, also in the Richter Rouser. It's a pretty common kind of exchange sacrifice. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes here, sometimes here. He would have been alright. That was hard for him to come to grips with. Now his rook gets stuck on h8. It's like I suspect this is like very good for you. You get the AlphaZero thing going on, or the Pomniachi, or whatever you want to call it. His rook is shut out. So now it's like you're not really down the exchange. You're actually like up material. Effectively. I don't know. Yeah, I think he's already in big trouble after this. But I'm not sure, he has any move here. Yeah, I don't know what bishop e3 is about. You got some sort of trick with like bishop h6 check? Yeah, it's interesting. Counterintuitive. What about this? That's not going to happen. Yeah, black's in a really bad position. But he does like the only logical thing, and this was your trick. Oh, okay. It was bishop h6. That's cute. But still not final. I mean, ultimately, it's like this and this are kind of out of the game, and we're still equal material. Yeah, this is a really nice attacking game. You should... Well, I assume you played the C3 Sicilian as well. One look at this game and, you know, everyone who plays the advanced French is playing the C3 Sicilian as well. So that's, yeah, very standard type of attacking position for C3 Sicilian. You play open Sicilian, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the normal repertoire. The C3 Sicilian and the advanced French go kind of hand in hand because they can transpose. You could think about, you know, playing it here. I don't know if you can sack a piece, but it doesn't seem necessary. It looks like you got it completely under control. He has to play g5, and this is brutal. Wow, full rook down. I was wondering about this check, but it doesn't work. Maybe it does work. Check. King f8. I mean, he's so paralyzed that I'm not sure. Oh, he has queen c1 with perpetual. So rook e6, queen c1 is perpetual. No, it's there's a pawn on c3. Rook e6. There's no perpetual, but he has queen f7. Still, you might be winning. I don't know. Probably not. It's not enough. So you have to take here, check. And he can't play queen f7. And you're getting a rook on e7, so he has to play king f8. It looks good. You've got f7. Right. Now you're threatening queen e8 check. But even that doesn't necessarily win. So you just end up winning the two rooks for the queen. But you have a million pawns and better coordination. So the queenside pawns should be winning. This should be winning. You're gonna win all the pawns. Yeah. Too many pawns. That looks like a really good game. That was a good game. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of criticisms for your play. I think there was that one point, you know, I really wouldn't allow him any counterplay. You could have limited black's counterplay more, I think. But other than that, you know, by preventing like knight f4, I think you could just prevent everything and probably win without black getting in the game at all. Alright, I got Kakatiri. Kakatiri. A game from 1950. Alright. Thanks. I feel like I got hit by a car. I've been working a lot today, everybody. So bear with me if I'm a little slow. Thanks for the support, guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And feel free to donate some bits. Where's Mr. Coffee? He's in Florida. Without Mr. Coffee, we need somebody to get the churn the bits on a little bit here. Astrobait's out of money. Mr. Coffee's gone. I'm not going to do this first, though, Kaktiri. We got to go in order. All right, Asturbate's up next. You know, unless someone bribes me to do their game first. That's always an option. Why can't I flip the board? What the hell's going on here? Oh. Whatever. All right. It's not letting me. Why does it keep highlighting? I don't understand. All right, I'm pressing escape key or something. Apparently the escape key makes you highlight the chat box under the board. I was not aware of that. All right, we were looking at Asturbate with black here. Bribes for getting your analysis done sooner. All right, a little juice. Alexander CL, thanks for being a resubscriber. All right, so this is Acerbot with black, our longest running VIP. Mr. Coffee is away, going to a funeral, sadly, so he'll be back next week. G6, yeah, Asturbate, I mean, I've told you this a million times, but the best move against the builder is e6. If this game were played by knight f3, g6, bishop c4, then, you know, you have no choice. But I think you sent your bribe. Wow, Bisonov just tipped $20. Who needs Mr. Coffee? Bisonov just tipped $20. Wow. You are in the list, man. Do I have your game? Thank you, very generous. He's bribing double of Nils's bribe yesterday. All right, good to see you back, Bill. All right, thank you, very generous, Mr. Bill. We're gonna add that game next. Asturbate. So do e6 against bishop c4. I had a game the other day. Here. I think here. Here, and my opponent played this, and I just played knight f6. I'm really liking this, but I think the engine says queen e2 to help like stop d5. But I like the setup for black. All right, whatever. You know, g6 is okay, but it's not as good. Bishop c4 is okay against g6. It's not as good against e6. So don't play g6 unless you're already committed to it against bishop c4. He has a straight shot against f7, and white's setup is like justified. And it's not justified. Like bishop c4 is not really justified against e6. Now he played a3. Yeah, I've probably played this on Weird Wednesdays by way of a3, g6, bishop c4, bishop g7, and now white's next move is some sort of weird mouse slip. Novelty, bishop d3. So the Kopeck, the deferred Kopeck a3 variation. White just like might as well have played king e2 or something. That's crazy. Okay, here he lost 2 tempi, so he's like trolling you. And now knight f6, and then d3. So he's white, he can lose 1 tempo, but he's like 2 tempi down now. Moving his bishop 3 times. So that raised an interesting question, and you went for it with d5. I'm glad you played this move because it's kind of principled. The other possibility, obviously, is to do e6, you know, with d5, with the intention of taking back with the pawn. But I think that d5 is fine as well. This is fine. I mean, you just destroyed his central pawn. This is like one of the first times I've seen Asturbate like straight up do this. So it's a really good sign. He's been reluctant to play like a d5 against the white e4 center a lot. And although the bishop on c4 is okay, the fundamentals of the position are more important than anything. I think the fact that you destroyed white's central pawn on e4, I've been trying to like I've been really trying to emphasize how important it is to destroy the enemy's center. Spectacular Camel is in the house. Our subscriber stream assistant, otherwise known as Yabades. A stream built on bribes. Alright, no Elon Musk jokes. So knight takes d5, h3. Wow, this is funny. This guy is funny. He played bishop c4, bishop d3, bishop c4, and a3, h3. And he's 1707. Yeah, h3, extremely slow move. And now, Asterbait, you retreated your knight for literally no good reason. Yeah. Deeper blunder. Yeah, I hate this move. I really hate this move. I don't know what else to say, my friend. It's a truly horrific move. Your knight is so mighty on d5. You know, you're like voluntarily pulling it off of d5. Why would you do such a thing? It's a beautiful thing. You know, why are you moving it off of d5? At least you know you're gaining a tempo on this bishop, but ultimately, the long run, it's your loss because you lost a good knight on d5. Your knight is on a very bad square now, so never do that without a reason. If anything, I would support it with like e6, probably. So you should castle, and white should probably play something like knight f3, and then you should play b6 and put your bishop on a good diagonal. Or if you don't like b6, you know, I suppose you could play something like h6 and it's a little dangerous to play for e5 here. I really feel like you almost, in fact, I feel like you almost have to play b6 because you want to connect your rooks, you want to connect your heavy pieces, and e5 is too risky because of the light squares and this diagonal. h6 is a good move anyway, but I think you gotta get all your pieces developed. You gotta have a plan of development for the entire position. So it's like b6, bishop b7, queen d7 or queen c7, rook d8, h6, etc. This is just a weak move. Okay. Castle, knight f3, and now you played knight d4. What did I say? Don't move the same piece twice. You had another game you showed me today where this was actually a good move. Asterbait had a game where he was playing black side of an Alyekin's defense, and his opponent had a white pawn on e5. And in that game, he played knight d4, and by playing knight d4, he eliminated the defense of the pawn on e5. But in this position, this move just doesn't really serve any great purpose. You're just trading pieces for no particular reason. I mean, now you don't have... The other problem with knight b6 is that you don't have bishop here. You don't have a good long diagonal. You know, this looks like a c3 Sicilian. You know, you could try something like this and try to play bishop e6 to trade off his powerful bishop on a2. But on knight c3, yeah, you have it. But he has this. That's a problem. So I'm thinking, like, well, what are we going to do to develop our bishop here? We could just stick the bishop on f5 like a Christmas tree decoration. That's about all you've got, I guess. Alright. If you're going to put it anywhere, I would just stick it on f5. You know, hope he does something stupid like that. Or g4. In Hungarian, I'm studying my Hungarian, and I know like tons of words. Obviously, I'm semi-fluent, but provokalny, it's like provocation. This only good provocations. if you put the bishop on f5. Okay, here, terrible move, knight c3, and then now you have a place. The good news is you actually have a place to put your bishop. A place for mom. So I would pretty quickly take advantage of that, and it does look like you also have this. Interestingly enough, you actually can play bishop e6 and neutralize that bishop on a2. Here, if bishop e6, knight e6, obviously. Place for my stuff. A chess storage unit. Here, followed by here. Think in terms of developing all your pieces. Move 11 doesn't like bishop e6. Well, if you don't like bishop e6, you might be happy because he played e6. And that neutralizes the bishop on a2. We've got this weakness, and we've got, you know, possible pieces coming in on like e4 or g5. But the move I want to play is probably bishop d7 next. White played bishop f4. And now if bishop d7, white has bishop d6. Maybe we have tactics. We have Bobby Fischer-esque tactics here. So this looks pretty good. I say you develop, bro. But Astrobate did it a different way. He played e5. This poisoned. And white blundered a piece. Yeah. Sad. It's pretty sad. I mean, it's only like move 13. So all he can do is retreat. Pick a square, any square. e3, d2, e3, g3. Black's better, but it's a game. You know, and I think you should play h6 to take away the g5 square from white at some point. Bofinik would be happy with your position, Astrobate. Korchnoi. But I'll tell you who's not happy. Your knight on b6. He hates you. Why did you put me on b6, man? I was in the center of the board on d5, and you put me on b6. Talk to your pieces, like Jonathan Ralston says. That knight is talking to you. He's screaming at you. He's like, you suck. You put me on b6. Why did you put me out of the game, coach? For no reason, you know. There's just no logic behind knight b6. I don't get it. You like undeveloping your own piece. Alright. But anyway, bishop g5 and like white just drops a piece. Check and take. Desperado. Modern Astrobate, he knows how to trade pieces when up material. Very good. This, I'm not sure. I like that. How does that work exactly? So I think there's better moves here. I mean, rook c8, knight d6. We can make some sort of argument, I guess, that there's a problem here. But I have difficulty believing that that's good for white. But maybe the simplest is to just defend it with knight d7. XL Poker, thanks for subscribing. You must be busy with work lately. So knight e4, c4, he takes, rook d8. That c-pawn could mess you up, man. Now he has a really nice outpost here for knight. So the knight returns to the place he never should have left. And your opponent has knight d6 now. But you would have b6. No. Yeah, this kind of looks problematic, bro. That is rather problematic. Thanks for the sub, XL Poker. What are we going to do here? We lost one pawn. It looks like we're losing another pawn on b7. This could become problematic. I mean, white's going to have a lot of pawns over on the queen side. You're very busy. Okay, not good, man. Not good. A little reckless there. H5, White totally has the wrong idea here. He's trying to, like, attack your king, but it doesn't make a lot of sense here. No. White's just missing his only chance, like knight d6. And now you wanted to trap your bishop on h5 like you did against me in a previous game. Great. That's pretty ugly, man. You probably have to play g5 here to get your bishop out, you know, assure that you don't get trapped. I recommend g5. There's really no other move to recommend. You don't have f5, and you know this also protects f7. So you should give him that pawn while you're at it, and make sure your pieces are safe. Now White has g4. How can White miss g4 in this position? It's sort of unbelievable. It's an endgame. Your bishop's on h5. He just has to play g4 and he wins back the piece. But instead he defends this measly pawn. And now, congratulations. g5. You did it. You found the way out. You found the way out and then you played that, ensuring that you would lose a piece again. Man, I don't understand what happened with you here. You have tons of time. Your concentration is bad. You walked right into g4 again. Dude, I think you just simply have to go back. I mean, here or knight e6. But whatever you do, you have to make sure you don't get forked. Now he saw it. This was tragic. And I have no idea what's going on now. White has a strong outpost. The bishop's pressuring f7. The only thing that's good is your outside h-pawn and the bishop pair. Phew, man, you could be worse now. Knight takes b7. Wow. I thought you were gonna play like bishop a6, but frankly, my dear, b4, b6. This might just be okay for you. This is a disaster game. You totally let it go. e4. I don't think this helps. Okay, this was a creative solution, but I don't know if it's good or not. Bishop e5 here, bishop d6. And like White must have been playing a simul or something. You guys were playing he was playing a simul. He forgot like what the last move was, so he doesn't recapture the bishop. He plays b4, just like losing a piece, and that's it. Very, very poor quality. Poor quality choice for this one. That's funny, there's no squares on the 6th rank where that rook is available. Yeah, I don't think he has a chance now. No stalemate. Alright, man, that was really very inconsistent. Great start, and you had a great position, and then you just like played too quickly and let it slip. Alright, I'm gonna do the Bill game next. Baisanov. I keep getting great positions and not finishing them off. I don't know why. Alright, this must be an... I don't know, what are the circumstances behind this game? Baisanov study. Knight 2 is best. Idea was isolate to win d4, but computer hates that idea? Question mark. Okay, so you're White. It was over the board, 90 minutes each. 90 minutes is, oof, it's game 90. It's rough. I hate to call it classical chess. It depends if you have a 30-second increment or not, or a 30-second delay or something. I think that's very important for time management, when you have more beyond the 90. This is technically like FIDE's fastest time control. 90 plus 0 with 30-second increments. They count it as like classical chess. 90 is a fast time control. It's generally for like 3 games a day kind of tournaments, I would think. Would be the reasoning for this time control even existing. It would be ideal for like playing 6 rounds in 2 days or something. But did you have an increment or not? No increment. No delay? No time delay, nothing. Classic, like sudden death, 90 minutes. Unheard of. Well, I mean, okay. I don't really know. G3 I don't like, personally. Who used to play this against me all the time? There was somebody. I always talk about Aliak and Capablanca game 1, but that was a different move order. That was like B6, G3. I like B6, by the way, but anyways, E6 is standard. G3. So black now has C5. It's your chessable repertoire. Black has C5 and B5, just to name a couple of. I mean, I know that B5 is considered to be like risky, but look at black's score in the opening explorer. Check this out. It's a good Polish. In 2,100 something games, black has 31% to 25%. And you ask yourself, how is that possible, right? Well, the obvious reason is not that white's position is bad. A, people don't know how to play it, and B, the better players are playing black. Very few strong players play your move order here. Not to say it's terrible, but okay, you gotta have something against B5. You gotta know what you're doing here. This is very important. Secondly, you gotta have something against C5. So you have 2 options. You can transpose to an English symmetrical, or you can play one of these like Neo Grunfeld. I don't really believe in this, but it's playable. So you got to know what you're doing on both of those moves. Those are black's best moves, I think. Why those moves are better? You see, his move allows you to transpose to the mainline Catalan. He's not taking advantage of your move order, in other words. The only advantage of your move order versus like playing like C4 is that you avoid the Bogo Indian. But I don't think there's any good reason to avoid the Bogo Indian. Anyways, alright. G3. So B5 is number 1 move, C5 is number 2 move. He plays just transposes. So here is an interesting thing, by the way. Man, I had some really annoying games where I started the game with like knight F3. A whole bunch of people did this shit to me with B5. I was losing my mind. I lost one game to this 2100 a couple years ago. The move order was slightly different. It's like Makaganov, or Keith Arkle calls it the speckled hen when he plays it like with white. But again, if the longer you defer C4, the more chances there are that black's going to do some kind of weird thing like this. Another variation that's really annoying for white to deal with. He also has more options, maybe. But c5 should transpose to a Tarash Catalan. b5 is really a problem. If you see it's the highest score for black, there's a reason for that. It prevents c4. You got to know what you're doing there. So black played c5, castles. This is fine. This is normal. You can also play c4, knight c6, and now c4. You're in a. After c4, now you're in a. You know, honestly, like I think c4 is white's only good move here. I have looked at this, I believe. Maybe I'm thinking of a different position though. You're basically like playing an equal game. White, the only way white can play for an edge is c4. And I had some game with Zen Chess on the stream a couple weeks ago where he beat me with black. D takes c4 is best. Black can also play like a reverse Grunfeld, like cd4, knight d4. But I don't think this is quite as good for black. This is the best, probably. Though, alright, so queen b6. Whoa, I've never seen that. Fundamentally breaking principles by bringing the queen out early in a dynamic position where his king is still in the center. Okay, what do we do? You played c takes d5 here. Okay, there's one game with a good player with white. Dizdarevich. Emir Dizdarevich. I think Bosnian Grandmaster. Played c takes d5. And you also played c takes d5. But I wonder, is there any other option? You know what this is? It's like, it's an e3 Grunfeld with colors reversed. And queen b3 is a move that's played, but you're like a tempo up. So I'm just wondering if there's any other options. If you take on c5, he takes with the bishop. You play knight c3. He takes here. This happened in a game. Knight a4, queen b5, knight takes c5, queen takes c5. Bogdanovsky. I don't know if white has enough compensation for that pawn sack. Another possibility. Anyone? Nothing special. Like you could play e3 or something with the idea of knight a3, but I don't think it's great. It's not bad, it's not great. So your move is probably best. I didn't even think about this. Knight takes d4. Wow, that's the Dizdarevich game. I mean, I assume that white would take on e6. You got to ask yourself, what would Levon Aronian do when playing this type of position with white? Anyone? Somebody played e4. That's a very cool idea. Like sacking pawn on e line for devastating attacking themes. Very interesting idea. But this didn't happen in your game. So obviously this is like a normal recapture. And it's just a weird Tarash. But your opponent took with a knight. So now it's just a semi-Tarash where black has played queen b6 randomly. It feels like if you take on c5, black probably is okay. If you play e3, you're playing like a Panov. reverse Panov with an extra tempo or something. Nothing special for white. So you gotta go for it here. You could obviously play like knight c3. You felt like I'm doing super well now. Yeah, no, but I mean it's a very concrete position. e4 is clearly... Look at the guys who played this. Ostojic, Phipps, Adamski, and Bo Jacobson. They're all like veterans. All veteran players played e4 here. Yeah, he's gonna get rolled by e4 and d5. I think that's it. That's all there is to it. You just go e4 and you're going with d5 and you're on his knight on c6. It's a roller. So yes, and yes. It's forced. Black's in trouble. It's an acerbate knight. You've got a really huge center. Black played this. Now I don't know. I don't know what to do. My instinct is to take. I think this isn't simple, I could see someone who's really into analyzing going pretty deep here. Lichess would play like bishop e3 or something crazy. That doesn't seem natural. I mean, I'm saying like it's possible white could like sack the b pawn. I wouldn't be surprised if something like this was good for you ultimately, but that obviously black doesn't have to do that. First of all, we should analyze like the forcing moves. Knight takes e4. What's the deal? Schlosser did this and he managed to win. He's a strong player, but he was playing at 2275. I don't know, if this is best. What's the big deal? The best he come up with was like knight d2. I mean, if black takes on d5, the e file is like fatal. So black pretty much like has to develop. Both players played this, and Schlosser played knight c4, queen a6, and just a simple b3. Now, in this position, it looks like the d4 pawn is falling. It's just gonna fall. It's like the perennial ripe apple. So black played b5, but it looks kind of crazy. I would think that black should just castle, or trade pawns and castle and just lose the pawn and try to survive. b5 might not help. So that's a simple way of playing. You actually did it. You actually did knight takes d4. Someone played knight a3. That's obviously an interesting move. Rook e1. But nothing like clearly pops out, The most natural move is knight c3, which is a high quality game between these guys that were, I don't know if either of them still alive. I don't think so. For all I know, Raichevich is still alive, but in 1977, people who were 2480 were pretty freaking good. It's not like today, where everybody's 2480. I don't know, knight c3. Clearly you could take on e6. But all it seems to do is like further black's development. And then there's that, to worry about. e5 does nothing. I mean, if you really want to get creative, you could start looking at crazy stuff like b4. I would be surprised if this wasn't sound for white. Let's see what the engine says. Plus 1.1 plus 1. So even b4, just trying to play the wing gambit is not bad, you know. But I do think, like, in game 90, you should try to keep it simple. Here you have a larger advantage than the b4 line I suggested. Yeah, I mean, like in the other variation, you're better structurally. But there's obviously an objection to this move, that it furthers his development. Objection, Your Honor. Schlosser is a very strong player. I mean, you know, this is kind of subtle. It doesn't look very, you know, exciting for white. But it was obviously like a super safe continuation, and white has just got everything under control. I mean, he's basically threatening to kind of surround that pawn on d4. On bishop c5, he ended up playing knight c4. The other game was knight b3. Black actually went on to lose this position, but I mean, come on. Seriously, how does... I mean, white went on to lose this position. How does white lose this position? How do you lose this position? You have like a killer pass pawn on d5 and the bishop pair, and you lose with white? I mean, that takes some serious effort to lose this position with white. I would say white is like plus 1 here. Wow, plus 2.7. Jesus Christ. Alright. It's terrible. Wow. Alright. So you took here. This is a mistake, helping black develop. Bishop takes. And all you got now is like structure advantage. But it's something. That looks weird. And now we ask the question, why would you play a move like that? Because you foresaw rook d8. I see. You figured black is going to play... You figured black is going to play rook d8 anyway. But, alright, then I want to ask a question here. I wonder, if we're not going to play bishop b2, then I want to know why we're playing b3 in the first place. If you look at this position and say, well, I'm playing the King's Indian, you could think of some crazy shit like here, here, here. You know, this is like blockading strategy. You could do knight a3, knight c2, knight e1, knight d3. Surround, attack, and destroy. A very long-winded blockade of the d4 pawn. It looks very slow. I'm sure this is a fine move, though. You know, I don't think like black wants to give up this bishop. They could, but I don't think they should. No, clearly this is in the position too. But this is a move like you're gonna have to be very careful about. Oh, you're worried about your pawn structure. Well, I mean, we've got to get developed here. We've got to get developed. And I think you're better. You're structurally better, but you've got to get developed. No, this move still is reasonable. This move is reasonable. I mean, you could look at this position and not like your structure, but, you know, I still prefer white. The start square bishop is very strong. You have a strong kingside pawn island. Only white can be better here. even with the doubled A pawns. Oh, you actually have queen A4 check, so this isn't even a discussion. You know, I forgot. It's like the Catalan. No, this is a disaster. Black is like lost here after queen A4 check. He can't even play that, but I'm not sure knight A3 is a good move anyway. It's the best move anyway. All right, B3 here. This is a funny move. Yeah, I mean, you did restrict your own queen's check on A4. No, come to think of it, I mean, this queen A4 check could be a very good resource for you in some positions. There's also E5. So I guess B3 was kind of unambitious, but A3 looks weakening. I want to play this. If he plays rook D8, okay, fine, whatever, you know. I mean, ultimately, we've got a blockade. We've got a good blockade at D2. I don't think that we can be worse here. But I agree, I'm not that enthused about it either. I think B3 is a mistake. B3, bishop B4, A3, bishop C3. I think I'm going to be sick. Alright. He did that. Wow, can that really work? That is a horrible looking move. Holy crap. That looks awful. But it might be hard to pick it up. That is a very risky methodology here by Black. So obviously, you know, B4 is possible. But he's going to be able to protect this pawn. I mean, on the other hand, it's not likely to be queening anytime soon. With the, you have 4 pieces controlling C1. So he should have taken this pawn, right? He doesn't take the pawn. Yeah, I mean, the big question is, should you play B4? Should you give him this pawn at all? And Black should be happy to trade queens, probably. I don't know if you even trade queens here. I mean, maybe he's in trouble. You have queen D6. But he has rook D8. Or queen D6, rook D8. And there's no way to, like, avoid... You can't prevent him from castling and avoid trading queens forever. You could play, like, queen C5 or something. B6. I mean, I don't know. You're down a pawn, but I think you're okay. But I don't see exactly what to do here. You can pile up on the C pawn. You do have to be careful. It's safer to trade queens, probably. Okay, this is a okay move, I guess. Yeah, that's crazy. Rook C1 looks fine. I mean, who puts their queen on C6 in this position? Even if you're not going to take the pawn, I mean, why would you put your queen on C6? Why not C7? I mean, if you're going to put it somewhere, put it on C7, I guess, right? It's like safer there. Was he afraid of bishop F4? I mean, whatever, you know, you go here. I don't know, maybe he was afraid of that. But this looks just as bad, if not worse, you know, with the long diagonal here. That's pretty crazy. Maybe he thought, I don't know what he thought. He thought he was, like, inducing you to do E5 and then he goes here or something. Maybe he was, like, dreaming of this type of thing. Like hope chess. I bet even that isn't good for Black. You could probably play like F3. Okay, I don't know. This is getting kind of far afield. It's a strange move here, and this is crazy. So he could have castled. After all that, he could have castled and got his king to a safe position. The number one tag is king safety when I make chess videos. I should put it on all my YouTube videos, like, just king safety. Number one principle. You got to get your king to safety here. He's grabbing this pawn. Okay, that looks dangerous. I'm not sure white has a way to win a piece. He obviously figured he can play f5. But yeah, that's really, really crazy. I mean, you have queen d4 right away. I mean, this is not hard to see. And that's what you played. I burned time imagining the intro to this game in my book on queen centralization. No, I mean, the thing is, though, you do have, like, a variety of moves in this position. But, I mean, we look at the forcing moves first. Queen d3, queen d4. I mean, queen d4 he can't discover on your queen. Plus, you're attacking g7, so that's clearly number one. You also have queen c2, queen d3. Maybe you could look at moves like rook e1. You know, other ways of potentially undermining that knight. Taking, on the other hand, this is what a beginner would do. They would, like, take, and lose. Because now, like, white gets checkmated on the dark squares. I mean, it should be considered because it is like the most forcing move. But the problem is after this, you know, we're on the defensive now. Probably he should actually castle. But if anyone's better now black's better. That's what a 1200 would do. Alright, so best move. Yeah, you actually played fine. Yeah, I expected f5. But he's lost after f5. He's lost after this. There's no way that black's surviving this. Actually, I don't know what I expected. Bishop f5? Well, either way, he would lose g7. It's a lost position for black. Why? Because he has no king safety. He has no safe place to put his king. And maybe he could castle queenside. Is that the point? Queen here, castles queenside. The cuckoo variation. Does that possibly work? I mean, he doesn't have to play castles queenside immediately. He can defend his rook. But it looks horrible for black. You know, this has got to be lost. Take on c3. Take on c3 when? Take on c3. If queenside castles. Well, you can't. It's defended by the knight at the moment. But if you assume that white is winning, yeah, you'd probably be right. It's just not that immediate. No, I mean, how do you take it? You know, what do you want to take it with? Queen takes g7, castles queenside. You want to play this? But he can play queen takes c3. Oh shit, you mean you have this? That doesn't work. Surprise! No, I mean, you have to be careful. You could lose. Actually, that's a funny variation. Like, jack here. Rook takes here. I think that's a problem. We're missing something. White is missing something. Alright. But I think it doesn't matter. You know, black's lost. He plays bishop d5. This looks like a better try. So now here you could simply play f3. f3 looks good. black might be surviving. If he gets out of the center, he's okay. So I don't see a win for you. Other than trying to take on g7. You know, you probably have to go for it. What's the best move here? Bishop takes e4 and bishop to out. Bishop takes e4 and then queen g7. Yeah, which we don't really want to do. But he would have to play, yeah, he would have to play rook f8. Or something horrific like this. So clearly, like, his king is the first one to die in this position. You know, he needs an extra move and he doesn't have it. That's understandable that you didn't do it, though. But I would have probably just taken on g7 immediately. There's a problem with that, huh? Does he have this? Even this looks good. Because you have queen takes, knight takes, bishop to e4. Shit. That's like game. Yeah. So he can't defend. You're simply winning. He would have had to have castled queenside. But again, that's losing. You know, now this is really over. So you did this. This was hesitation. He plays castles queenside. And you have a problem. Now queen a7 is definitely on. You play queen takes g7. Poor calculation. I was confused him as castles queenside. You convinced yourself it was good, and queen a7 would lead to trade of queens and loss of initiative. But how is it a trade of queens? What trade of queens? There's queen a6 trade of queens? Right? Not so fast. You know, you're jumping to conclusions. Man, there's all sorts of stuff here. Your queen's protected. You could just take on e4. For one thing, you might be able to take on e4. You have like an intermezzo. I don't know if that's enough. You have a lot of interesting moves, though. Oh, you have bishop h3 check. Christ. Bishop h3 check. Bishop e6. Feels like you should have something. This could drive you crazy. Your queen, it's funny. Your queen really doesn't have any squares in this position. I bet even this position is good for you. But I could see, like, not being sure. You could get down to this ending and get this far, and then suddenly rook d3, and black is fine, you know? You definitely don't want to trade queens. The problem is if you do bishop e4 first, you now, you know, would have to take with the queen on c3. We don't want to trade queens. We can't do that. We don't want to give up the light square bishop for sure. I feel there's a win here for. I just feel there's a win here for white. I mean, you can go back to d4 first of all. I mean, there's no problem, really, right? There's no reason why you can't bring the queen back to d4, if nothing else. He cannot literally force a trade of queens. Yeah, you'd have to calculate it, but there's all kinds of scary stuff. If he tries anything stupid, I would think he would get in trouble. You know, like check. His king is so open. I mean, it's very, very dangerous. Right, so queen a7 was the move. You played queen g7. Yeah, I don't think this is that great here. He keeps this dangerous pawn, but you have rook c2, right? Rook c2, and we also have bishop h3 check in some positions, but rook c2, queen c2, rook c1, queen c1, bishop c1, 2 rooks for the queen. But again, like, pawn structure and king safety favor white. Yeah, I don't want that pawn staying on the board much longer. But now you have something. Bishop takes e4, queen takes e4. Oh, it just hurts to give up that light square bishop. You have rook c2. Rook c2 check, king b8. Rook c3 check, king b8. But we can't mess around because black has bishop d5 mates. So we have to act fast here. Based on hallucination. Queen c7 check being available. Uh-huh. You thought you had your queen across here. Oh my god. What? Or you thought you had queen c7 check? So you played this? So, I mean, how do you win here? How do you win? Can you win? Are you even winning? You have something with queen h8 mate? No, there's no mates because c8 is covered 20 times. So I don't see the win for white. Rook takes c2 check. King here. And then what? That's the question. Do you have some kind of weird tricks like rook d2? Rook d2. This is kind of a funny move. For example, rook d2, rook c8. This is a crazy situation, but look at this variation. For example, rook c8, bishop f4 check, king a8, queen takes h8 check. Well, it's not check. Okay, queen takes a8. Is there a check here? Check, 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 check. Rook takes, rook d8 check, bishop c8, followed by rook takes h8, and you're winning. Because this is met by king g2, your rook's defended, you can meet queen e4 check with f3. Easy peasy. I mean, that's just one example, but yeah. Well, it still looks like you're very close to winning. You can also play, what else? Rook takes d8, rook takes d8. Is there any point in that? You have interesting tries, but this is dangerous because if you do this, you know, it's like, hello. Now you're really in trouble. So you have limited time only. Check. Oh, apparently he's supposed to play queen there. Wow. Well, I certainly would have played king b8. So you have something with a7, eh? Bishop a7, queen a5 check, perpetual. There's no perpetual. Oh, you have rook d8. Oh, I see. You have rook d8. Tactics puzzles. Rook d8, bishop a7. It doesn't work. So you're supposed to play bishop a7 check first? Is that what you're telling me? So that then queen a5 check, and you take everything with check? Here, check, here, check, here, check, here. And then you get mated by bishop d5 on the white squares. No, I mean, you might have to take a draw there. I don't know. But that's the minimum. You might be winning somehow. But let's get a draw before we get a win. So you played it. Oh, you didn't play bishop a7. Okay. Bishop a7, king a8, right? And black's like winning, probably. You hallucinated you could play queen c7 and take the rook. You went so far as to pick up the queen. Uh-huh. So black's threatening rook d1. So this is like forced. Now, here's an interesting moment. You have bishop f4 check here. If you keep a cool head, you might benefit from this move. Bishop f4 check first. Because he can't interpose anything. He would have to go in the corner. I think that can only help you, probably. You know, likely the position is a draw, but... Alright, you take... Here. Check. And then, I mean, I guess... It should be a draw. But if you get your king to the center, you know, maybe your king more active first. I don't know. You should think about like f3 and king f2. Probably. But you may have to watch out for rook d3 and bishop d5. It's a dynamic position. Yeah, this is creepy, man. Like, probably you should play f3. Here, is this a problem? Perhaps. Perhaps. But I don't like my king on the light square in this position. Alright, it doesn't matter now. Jesus, after all that, the guy hung a rook? That's crazy. That's a crazy position to win after all that. Alright, what do we got for games left? Where are we at? Thanks for the donation, Bill. Wanted to give you an extra long game analysis there. Bill, thank you for gifting a gift sub. Went to Parmenides, who we haven't seen in a long time. Our old friend from Canada. Mr. Chess, 1978. Thank you. I mean, thanks for being here. We got to go back to the study. Alright. Yeah, that was an interesting game. It looks like the kind of game I would play. That sort of Catalan, Tarash. Saeed's is your game on the list? I don't know. I thought it was, but maybe not. We'll see. Maybe I forgot to put it in there. That's weird. I thought I did. When did you send me the game? An hour ago. It's weird. I thought I put the game in. Oh, we couldn't go. Yeah, I put you on the list. Sorry, but you sent it in a format where I can't. I couldn't copy it over. That's why it's not in there. I have to get the PGN somehow. Here. Copy PGN. Alright. Yeah, you were on the list, on my paper list, but... Copy. Thanks for reminding me. So, alright, he's in there, chapter 8, Saeed's, but Saeed's sent an hour ago. So we first started the stream. Who's chapter 7 again? Is that Bill's game? Duh. Alright. So chapter 7 is Bill's game. No, that's Kakatiri's game. Alright, so who's first? Saeed's is first, before Kakatiri. Kakatiri's last. Alright. Unless someone else bribes me. Alright. Sumaher is next. This is his game against me from 2 weeks ago. Sumaher is white. It's I don't remember if this was played on a Wednesday, but I usually play weird openings on Wednesdays. I played Delayed St. George by Transposition. And now Knight C3, so... Interesting. I should play D5, probably. But if D5, doesn't white have E4 here? So apparently this is not so great for white. Interesting. Alright, D5 is the safest, stopping white from gaining space. I played C5, and now he has, obviously, D5. I can't believe there's no games in this position in the opening database. That's kind of hard to believe. Wait, something's wrong here. There's no way there's no games in this position. Wow, that's crazy. That's really crazy. I can't believe it. No games? It's almost like a normal... It's almost like a normal Benoni. This is crazy. Clearly D5 is the best move. But this is interesting. If ED5, the computer wants to play what? I mean, this is actually an interesting position. CD5, D6 definitely transposes to like weird Benonis. So you didn't do D5, you did E3. Now I played Knight F6. Now we've got some games. Dmitry Gurovich, 2006. Dmitry is one of the few people that I know who played this A6 crap. Some people refer to as the Gingy Indian. A Gingy Indian. I think Eric Schiller wrote a pamphlet on it. The true Gingy Indian. So instead of just transposing to this would be a straight up like semi-Tarash. I decided to try something experimental here. And I know chess a lot, so I figured out one of the only logical moves for black is b6. I've never played this position before with black, but looking at the opening explorer, there's Lev Albert, another Gingy Indian. Lev and Dmitry were some of the only people who would play a6 back in the 80s because they played like... Both Lev and Dmitry are American grandmasters who, not by birth, but American naturalized grandmasters who played the Blumenfeld and stuff like that. There's not a lot of players going around who would play this A6 stuff early. Dmitry and Lev would play like Knight F6, A6 on move 2. I got it from Michael Valvo, who played it against me in the New York Open. And he was another player of the same generation. Princess Chess, welcome. But I figured, if you play D5, I'm going to play B5. There's 0 games with that. I don't know. I mean, I've played a lot of stuff. You haven't done my game yet, no. But I will do it faster for a fee. E takes d5. It looks like e takes d5. Wow. Yeah, it's funny, man. Everyone's a chicken. They all played knight takes d5 here. That's so crazy. Good. Yeah, everyone's terrified of like knight takes d5. They're terrified of this or something. That's amazing. All three players played knight takes d5. Anyway, Sumaher wasn't interested in trying to play for d5, so he played this. We have bishop e7, castles. And I was getting nervous about d5, so I released the tension. And here, I was still worried about d5. I wanted to play maybe bishop e7, but yeah, this is, see? Radovanovich did this. I know him. Yeah, you're threatening d5, essentially. So black has lost every game in this position. That's a really good track record. C takes d5, knight takes d5, and now Lobron versus Lenby, 1993, Germany versus Austria. I think Lenby is Austrian. Somebody played knight e5. Nepomniachtchi was black. Someone played queen e2. That's LeBron. Why can't black play like knight d7 here? This is what I would have done. I mean, I seriously calculated this. You can't do this crap. I mean, that's stupid. So Lenby is knight c6. It doesn't make any sense. It just totally doesn't make sense to play this move here. Whatever. Alright. So it's not that bad a position. Anyway, knight takes d5 you took, which I was surprised by. But you know, looking at this position from your perspective makes me wonder why I didn't take with the queen. But I guess rook e1 was the answer. If I take with the queen, I develop a piece, but you play rook e1. And now you're threatening bishop e4. So I looked at this, and I was unconvinced. I saw stuff like I wasn't sure about, like this. It looked risky for white. You know, I mean, even this looks dangerous for me. I'm just undeveloped with my king in the center of the board. So I think I have to nail down the strong point on d5. I don't think your knight takes d5 is necessarily a great move, by the way. And then queen e2, and I don't really care about that pawn on a6 too much. Bishop e7. I think black's okay. Now I don't know. You know, I would normally castle. As I said, I don't think I was concerned about the a6 pawn. I'm not afraid of bishop takes b8. So I don't know why I played knight c6 necessarily. I guess I was hoping you would like get greedy and take this pawn or something. But needless to say, like, this is better than Lenby's setup because my knight is not like blocking my bishop on b7. Now white is just equal. I think the IQP isn't an advantage. It isn't necessarily making you worse. It's a balanced game. The evaluation is computer has 0.3 for black at depth 19, 0.4, but really it's real close. I played b5. This is a bit risky because it's support point at c5, but I had to do something about the pawn eventually. And then rook c1. You know, you have a good outpost here. Rook c8. And then I remember being slightly surprised by this move. b4. I think that he was afraid of knight a5, which is probably a real thing. b4, bishop f6. I'm bearing down on d4 now, and then bishop b1. And there were problems with h7, so I played g6. I'm prepared to play bishop takes f3 and give up my bishop to win the pawn on d4. Here, he defends, bishop g7, and then rook c5, support point. Here, here, and then I unpin myself, pressure on d4. So I think now you played g3. It's almost like you're anticipating my move. Bishop takes f3. I have to take with the knight, and you go opposite colored bishops. And the computer says it's like a draw, and I guess it is. It's kind of sad though, because I'm up a pawn. You'd think that black would have some chances to win. But see how important it is that he played g3? If he had played h3 instead, like here, 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 you know, here, I think that move is less useful for white. He could still potentially get back ranked mated with h2 covered by my bishop or something. And he doesn't have any ideas of h4, h5. And his pawns are on the same color as his bishop, which isn't really advantageous. So I think that g3 is a good move. It's a draw. I tried, but it's just not enough to win. You know, my only passed pawn is on the king side. See? h4, h5 gives him actual threats. And then, I don't know. It's just a draw. I tried something here. We had a funny endgame. But it's objectively not enough to win. It's just... he can force me to fix my pawns eventually. I mean, he can go like bishop d5, bishop f7, induce me to play g5, and then play like bishop e6, and it's just a dead draw. So you could actually, yeah, you could be more forcing there. But I can't make progress the way you played it as well. Oh, there was one moment when he blundered. He played too fast, and he gave me king takes a6 here. So I was winning. I had a winning position, Schumacher. I knew I was winning. It's sort of stupid. You had tons of time, you had 15 seconds, and you hung your a6 pawn. This is lost now. It's pretty instructive. But the pawns are spread apart, and there's no rook pawn. No wrong rook pawn. So you're simply lost. Gotta be careful there. Alright, so it ended in a draw. Good game. Hey, it's Mira versus Kavukala. 24-11. Greetings, Princess Chess. High fives for Asterbait. Great to see you guys. Thanks to the donation from Bill. Nice to see subscribes from Spectacular Camel. A gift sub from Bill. XL Poker. Alright, this is, hey, it's Miro. I'm all business on these Thursday night streams because we have to get to like 9 games, and If I mess around, I'm here all night. So knight f3, this is Hayes Miro with white. Knight c6, bishop c4. Yeah, I mean, it's my least favorite opening from black's perspective. I hate playing against it. It's not that it's like boring, but everyone plays it. Strong players, that's not the case. I think that, it's like 50-50 between bishop c4 and the Roy Lopez, but it's like if you play offhand games against amateurs, it's like 98% of people play bishop c4. It's ridiculous. It's natural. I mean, they're trained to attack the weak point, and it's like much more popular with the beginner scene. You found the chess nostalgia item previously mentioned on stream. Yasser's Flash Tactics for Championship Chess. Wow. That's not as good as your Bobby Fischer one. I remember that being advertised. Bishop c5, c3, knight f6. So do you like this better than the two knights defense, Miro? Do you prefer to play against knight f6 or bishop c5? You prefer playing against bishop c5. Yeah, I played this against you, right? The Ferenc Gombots Jr. variation. Maybe I didn't play this. Did I play this? I didn't play it against you. Oh, interesting. I played it against Zen Chess and Ripunj. I have yet to play it against you. Yeah, I played d6 immediately against you. That's not the same thing. Yeah, this move is surprising. You know what's surprising about this move? It's probably black's second best move in this position. Here. White has a high winning percentage, but that sample size is irrelevant. Alekhine famously played this in 500 master games of chess, but Queen e7 has some drawbacks. It's playable for black, though. Worth study. All right. Have you faced the Dubov Gambit yet? Is that even in the book? I hope your book was recently published. You got to be prepared for the Dubov attack. I mean, you're playing white, but I don't know if it was mentioned that you can do this with white. There's that crazy game from last year. You know, pawn takes pawn, b4, Dubov Karyakin. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. e5, d5. We're in main line. Your dad was talking about this last night. Bishop e5. Apparently it's like an old line that he found and resuscitated, but it was practically unknown. Bishop e5. Yeah, I like Dubov. He's creative. So there's also like the bishop e2 variation, which is good as well. I never saw anyone play knight takes d4 there. That's weird. Okay, pawn takes. Yeah, so Dubov does one-arm chin-ups. Nice. He's not as portly as myself. I used to be able to do a few chin-ups, but not one arm. Alright. C takes d4, bishop b6. Yeah, I mean this, I don't know which is better. You know, the jury's out, but this seems more aggressive to me. It doesn't trade pieces. Bishop e6. You mean Dubov or Miro's dad? Alright, knight c3 now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Bishop e6. I don't know what the best move is. This is the main line. And now black played bishop g4. Have I played this once? No. I have not played this variation. With black. I have played... Wow, only one game in this position. Hey, it's Mirror versus Sparkle Horse. Hey, what a coincidence. Castles, his favorite variation. You beat me in this line. That's why it's your favorite. Do you have any slots left for analysis? I think we have one last slot left, Nefedov. Just for you. Alright. Nice to see you. Okay, so bishop g4, bishop e3, castle, h3. This is our game. So we transpose to the two games I had with you and Zen. I won a nice game against Zen. It was a training game. It was longer than like a standard rapid game. Yeah, Zen really knew his stuff too. We went pretty deep in the theory there. Queen c2, bishop g6, queen b3. And now the guy played the exact same move. Wow, he played the exact same move. That's not the only move for black, right? Black has a number of moves here. But clearly knight e7 makes sense. There's not that many ways to protect. I mean, it's very unfavorable, I would think, to strengthen like your pawn chain. I mean, I see that a lot of people played bishop takes c6, but I'm not really sure. The important thing from my perspective is that you're strengthening d4, and that means I don't have any pressure on d4. Bosiocic is a pretty strong player. He lost there. I don't know. You have to look at it. Knight e5 looks off sides. Weird. That's kind of a weird move, to be honest. Is that for real? This is some kind of... I mean, Gonda playing the black side of the... That's weird. Gonda would always play like... Gonda always played the black side of the Richter Rouser. He played like classical Sicilian for black. This must have been some specific prep. Queen takes d5. He still lost anyway. Here. Oh, this is weird. That's weird. Alright, bishop g6 here. Knight e7. So, castles. And now, we're following the game. So, Carlson. Still. I remember when I had my game with... I had this position against Zen Chess. I was real confused about what to do here. I was confused against you as well. So both games I played knight d2. That's the main move. And now queen takes c3. I have no games. So knight takes c3. Your opponent left my prep here with knight takes c3. I mean, this, again, doesn't make sense to me. But I guess it does, because at bishop g6 you have knight e2 check. So you can't play pawn takes. So white plays queen takes. Yeah, all right. This is reasonable. But let's look at the statistics. I assume this is slightly better for white. Yeah, knight takes c3, not played in a lot of games. There's an interesting move here, queen d7. Knight g3 was played in one game. I don't know who that guy is. Who is that guy? Kramnik. I don't know, some random. Let's see. Knight H. Kramnik. The engine likes this for white. Rook F D1. Bishop D3. Rook D3. Interesting. Knight and G to F5. Black's knights are a little tied up here. So the number one move, according to the Stockfish, is Knight F5. And the games are a many. I didn't know that deep, the position. This is the end of my theoretical knowledge, so I just came up with Knight D2 over the board. Black played this, which I didn't love, but looking at it from white's perspective, I mean, it's not that great for white. White has a little more space. But now your opponent played a subtle move. Queen d7, Blockadovich. Bosiocic versus Tomaszewski, 2018. They're following the other game. Zenchess did something similar against me, I thought. Check this out, though. Tomaszewski, bishop e4. Now that's subtle. f3, bishop takes d3. It's like a Slav. Black's playing the Slav against e4. And Tomaszewski just went for the blockade. Yeah, it's a draw. Typical draw players. So your opponent played f6. He's like a theoretical expert. Jones versus Belyakov. Wow. Jones lost to a 24-59. That hurts. That's 9 rating points or something. That's pretty painful. But I guess when you're 26-82, you can afford to lose 9 rating points. f6. More aggressive than f5 in a way, because it creates tension. The Kwang beat Eric Hansen with rook a e1. I've played the Kwang a few times. Okay, he's a really tough player. I had him beat once and he slithered away. That's a subtle move, rook a e1. I still think that black is alright here. f4, and then f takes e5, f takes e5. Jesus Christ, your guy like ate the opening explorer. Queen e6. I suspect a lot of people cheat using the opening explorer, but who knows? Alright. Now a4, the move in the game, has an obvious drawback. If you're playing the white side of a Slav or whatever, Nefyadov would appreciate this. You know, you're kind of backward at b4. But I guess the problem is if black tries a5, you do have to watch this stuff, you know, here. So for example, queen b3, like, what are we going to do? On the other hand, like, does the white queen get like trapped on b7 in some variations, maybe? or rook a6. So it's tough to say. But, you know, when Yang, I don't know who that is, his move makes sense in terms of it's like a straight up minority attack. I think that white might be safer doing neither of the above. What about, is it crazy to play g4? Probably. That looks like a move that Zen Chess and our hero might play. Some risk involved, but the engine seems to like it. That was not something you considered. Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense, you know. You're looking for f5. And the black can't liquidate all rooks because he'll drop his h-pawn. The engine says c5. That's like a really difficult move to find. So this is a tough position, dude. The computer says a4 and b4 are best. Everybody's using the computer around here. a4, a5, and then this move. I don't like this move. What are you doing? Now I vote for g4. I think you've run out of other plans. So I get what you're doing. You're like discouraging c5, but that's not really making forward progress of any kind. You're playing kind of, okay, prophylaxis. And now g6. Hello! How about g4 now? I'm a little bit concerned he could play knight f5. But g6 looks really weakening for black. Okay, bishop h6 is fine. You have knight f5. Oh my god, you hung the e5 pawn? Was that a trick or something? Wow, you straight up hung the e5 pawn. Damn, dude. So after this, obviously king h1 comes into consideration. It's funny, you played the prophylactic move rook c1. That's far more subtle to me. Yeah. Wow. So he walks into this, and does white have some kind of miracle here? Nope. Damn, dude, that's just a horrible blunder. Well, you can't trade queens. Knight f5 is a threat, or is it? So the problem is if queen d2, knight f5, and you're triple attacked at d4. But what happens on rook e1 now? Bishop takes d4 check. Sucks. You have king h2 here, and you're trapping his queen. Do you have this? There's a strong chance he would go for this, and then suddenly, whoop. So he might have a different move. Knight takes d4. Whoops. Knight takes d4. Your friendly neighborhood knight takes d4. That doesn't look good. Because he has knight d2, you know, knight f3 and knight d2. Rook e4, knight f3, followed by knight d2. Damn. So, that's greedy, but you're threatening rook e1. Does black end up like too strung out or something? It's like a subtle trap? It was all a subtle trap. King h1, bishop f6. Queen takes b7. So he has this move to defend his knight. Otherwise, rook e1 wins. Wow. So you have to take on b7. Again, some ideas of rook e1, but black has queen b4. Preemptive defense, and the guy's down to 52 seconds. He did not play queen b4. Yeah, I mean, black's king is more open than white's king. Because the way the pawns are aligned. The 7th rank is totally open. So it feels like you have some serious practical chances. Though that doesn't seem right. I don't know. I was looking at knight d4. You'll just get mated if you do that, I guess. Other than that, it's great. So I don't know what to suggest here. Pass pawn, anybody? Can you play like b4 and just try to create a passer? Because look at that pawn, man. Look at your pawn go. It's like a Dr. Seuss book. If you play b4, he takes, and you play a5, how is he stopping your pawn? I mean, whose pawn is first here? That looks pretty scary. I think this is pretty good, man. The wrong one is b4. What's wrong with b4? Someone? Wow, he has queen c8. So you're basically better here. Black's just holding on, even though he's down. I mean, he's up a pawn. Yeah, the king safety. So he can take and play knight f5 now. He doesn't do it. He does knight f5 directly. Now your king looks open to me. Man, that's kind of disappointing. Both sides were like low on time. But you played this. Why? If you take this, he takes this? I mean, you could still do b4. Theoretically. But I guess he has like that. Yeah, I mean, it was a 10-minute game. You got low on time, and now you're probably borderline worse. That's a weird move, man. I mean, bishop h8. Black played bishop h8. I guess he wanted a move that was close to the clock. Bishop h8. This is the weirdest move ever. Bishop g7. It's close to his king, you know, so he can make it quickly. Alright. Yeah, interesting game. Okay, I've got this really cool game. Why do I have two? Oh no. Your latest over-the-board game. Alright, Nefedov is last. Last but not least. We've got a couple games to go through. Before that, first of all, why am I not synced in my own study? Okay, 5. Ivan Chuk. Many of you might have seen this game. It's from 12 years ago. But hey, it's Miro. No, hey, it's Miro. Good game. Spectacular Camel wanted to share this. I suspect that we saw it on the stream years ago, some years ago. But maybe I just saw it and I didn't share it on the stream. This is Ivan Chuk versus Yubava from 2010 Chess Olympics. So it was like Ukraine versus Georgia. You know, probably board one or probably board one. I mean, at that time, who else would be over 27-10 in Georgia? So the normal move here for white is like a4 or knight c3 in the fantasy Caro-Kann. And by the way, this is a relatively newer variation, which is the best according to Stockfish. Another interesting move is the immediate gambit e5. Thank you for clarifying, Nefdov. The highest rated player in the U.S. state of Georgia is probably like 2,400, not 27. And U.S. states don't have a place in the Olympic contest. So yeah, I know there's a few people here who are American, but hopefully most of us are aware there is a country called Georgia. Queen b6, and then normally it's knight c3. But Ivanchuk played this weird move. I guess he made this up at home or something. a3. I don't know, is that the first game in the database? Yeah, of course. He must have analyzed this in his home laboratory. And so, like, what can black do after a3? It's just a waiting move. And I guess there's a couple of points behind it. Like, if black plays c5 at some point, you know, maybe, like, b4 could be a thing. If black plays e6 and white plays, let's see. What would white play? Knight c3? Yeah. I mean, the point is, like, bishop e4 is cloud out. That would be a normal idea. I think in the fantasy variation, this. So I'm not sure there's any, like, super deep ideas with a3, but it has its point. And so Yabava plays, like, the best move, which is e5. Like, this is the only move, apparently, that is really best for black, clearly. And so here, I'll just mention that Brian Smith, he used to work for a chess site that I work for called Chess Lecture. And Brian, years ago, did a series on the fantasy variation of the Caro-Kann. So you can check that out if you join chesslecture.com, but it's a little bit old now. I mean, that lecture series. But it's interesting that Brian, in 2014, he played this move Queen e2 in a game against Dean Ippolito. So that's interesting. He has some original idea there. But after e5, he plays Ivanchuk takes. And now Yabava just goes into, like, full gambit mode. Now, I assume that both sides had analyzed this a little bit at least. You get the feeling that Ivanchuk definitely had analyzed this position in his own laboratory, because it's really strange and too coincidental to be an accident. I don't know if Yabava had seen it, or he just found it over the board, but he played, like, the most aggressive way possible for black. He sacrifices a piece here, takes, bishop c5, sacrificing the knight on f6. E takes f6. Now, besides taking a piece, we're also threatening pawn takes g7. I mean, obviously, like, black could play bishop takes g1, but I assume check would be kind of an issue. So, that's not good. Black has to play bishop f2 check, king e2, and now castle. And Yabava, playing in, like, you know, romantic style, thinks, well, you know, this is crazy. Like, I have a huge initiative. But Ivanchuk does, like, the, whatever it is, the transvestite here. Queen d2, rook e8 check, and king d1. And it's all best moves. This has all been analyzed at home, clearly. Rook e1 check, queen e1, bishop e1, and king e1. You know, if you didn't know better, you would honestly like kind of think like these guys were trolling the chess world and they had like made this up together at home or something. But that's unlikely in an Olympiad game. Apparently, in this position, Ivanchuk's best move is like knight to c3. But he played a creative move instead, bishop e2, and now Jabava should just take on d5. The material is approximately equal. Like black has a queen. Actually, white has more material. White has a rook and 2 minor pieces for the queen. Okay. But black's initiative compensates. So Jabava doesn't recapture the pawn. He just plays knight d7. And now d takes c6, b takes c6. And the most unbelievable position, white plays bishop d1. Like, it's crazy. I mean, his king is in the middle board. All of his pieces are on the back row. Black has a queen strolling around the board. And this is completely okay for white, apparently. It's almost impossible. Like, they've analyzed this far at home. Check, knight e2. And now knight takes f6. And I think, like, this was a critical moment where the computer says, like, Jabava's okay, but he has to play knight d5 now. And I guess it's counterintuitive, because trading pieces, you'd think, wouldn't really help. Another move is h5 to prevent g4. Basically, okay, white is up a rook and 2 pieces for the queen. That's like 2 points of material. But, you know, clearly white's king is trapped in the center. So Jabava plays this, trying to play bishop a6. White plays a4. Black plays a5. White plays here now. Really weird move, rook f1 to protect the knight. Bishop a6, rook f2. And then restraining white with h5. So, and now white plays again the best move, rook a3, getting his rooks in the game like a beginner. And here, I think Jabava like went a little bit too far. But it's like hard not to go too far, you know? Anyways, h4 is probably okay. White plays g3. And looking at with this position with the computer, this was apparently a big mistake. He should have just exchanged pawns on g3. And white is better. But I don't know that white is necessarily winning. Apparently this is a mistake, but Jabava's like playing for a win. He figures the pawn on h3 might, you know, kind of block white in. And maybe if he could win this pawn on h2 somehow. But now Ivanchuk's better. And the rest is really crazy. Rook d8, and this is a long game, remember. Like normal time control. Knight f4, knight d7, rook b3, queen d4 here, rook e8, knight e4. So basically Ivanchuk has created a total fortress except for the pawn on a4, which he's leaving unprotected now. But that's really not a big deal. He doesn't need the pawn on a4. He has like 2 extra pawns. But the funny thing is that Jabava's queen gets in on a1. Yeah, wait, it gets better. So now bishop d2, queen a1, and then Ivanchuk plays bishop c3. He's actually threatening to trap like Jabava's queen with rook a3 and stuff. And this is what happens. Knight e5, threatening, I guess, like knight takes f3 check. Rook a3, hitting the queen. Queen only square b1, and then knight d2. And now the queen is trapped, right? But we have this here. So the queen, it looks trapped, but he can go here. Because if the knight takes, Jabava has check, or check, double check. Double check and mate. Double check. This is actually double check mate. In the other line, knight here, it's double check, check, king here, and mate. So queen c1, right? But he can't take the queen. But it's alright, because we just do this first. And yeah, it looks like chess 960. So he's just gonna like kill the knight first, and then he'll take the queen, or like bishop takes e5. So the queen is trapped. Knight g6, rook a6. He had to give up a bishop. Knight f4. And black's only threat is like knight g2 check, I guess. So this is funny. He goes here, which attacks the piece that's pinning the knight that's trapping the queen on c1. And black just had to resign. That was back in 2010. It's hard to believe. I saw that game shortly after it was played. Yeah, crazy. All right. Yeah, I mean, obviously Ivanchuk would be a fantastic chess 960 player. So the next game is Kakatiri. We got Kakatiri, no, Saeed's. But I think Kakatiri's game was first. So this must be Kakatiri's game. Saeed's was first. It's e4 c5. This one? Yeah. Yeah, so you're playing Hyper Accelerated Dragon like your our other friend from Iran, the veterinary doctor. Knight f3, g6, d4. Yeah, let's flip the board. I got into the wrong game again. How did I do that? Alright, I'm just trying to flip the board here. Please stop trolling me. There was an escape key or something. Okay, F. So we've got black side of accelerated, hyper accelerated dragon. I've played this a million times. Yeah, so our other friend, Summon on Sound, has been playing bishop g7 here. He's sticking with this. I had a game against him in my simul last week where I was white, and we had this line with e5, knight g8. Just so you know, Saeeds, even though the statistics here are bad for black, it appears this is actually playable for black. It may not be that bad, but it's certainly not easy to play. But I would consider it as an alternative. When I prepared a game against Gergo, what's his face? I looked at the very strange variation here, queen c7, I think. This is bad because of knight d5, and white is better. It's playable, but dubious for black. You played this exact line against me? Oh, with bishop g7? Yeah, queen c7 is pretty dubious. But it might catch someone off guard. Otherwise, you have to play d6. Right, now... I don't know much about this. Apparently that's even a move. There's a Hans game. Wow. Check it out. Hans was 2269 in 2016. You know, you think about it, it is a little sus, right? And he wasn't like a child prodigy, you know? Alright. Anyway, we're not going to get on that discussion. Knight g4. This is a major variation. But I think it's better for white. The last time I played this, I lost against Marcel Martinez. Pretty badly in the last round of a tournament. Who's a decent player. Years ago. It was like over 15 years ago. So, you know, you have to take. And then here, you do have the option to play Queen d4. The kind of chicken move. And here, speaking of weird ideas, white has knight c4, which is interesting. So, I saw this in this game. I saw this for the first time in a Fromsky versus Peter win in 2016. But Brian had told me about this when he was there at the same time. He knew about this variation even before me. Even, I mean, 1997 I had a game with this, with knight takes c6, you know, the standard variation against Zoltan Medved. I think I drew, but this is like slightly unpleasant for black. Like black can almost never win. You can only draw, objectively. This is like an attempt for white to play for a win. It's tricky. This Fromsky, she upset Peter Wynn. She was well prepared. By some strong, you know, analysis. But anyways, you played bishop d7. I played bishop g7 here against Antel. So you can play this pawn sack as well. So I've tried everything. This is like the main line, but, you know, there's two ways to take on d7. So I don't know which one of these is better. I still don't know. You know, it seems more logical to take with the queen, because you're developing a piece, sort of. But I mean, this opens up your bishop on this diagonal. So it's really hard to say which is better. And here again, Move 11 had a game with me. I played this with white against him. Training game. To be honest with you, I never thought about this. But it's funny that black held two draws there. Maybe this isn't so bad. Bishop g7 is normal. Castle. You know, and I think, like, well, maybe most common would be bishop takes c6. Rook d1. Rook d1, queen c8. Bishop e3. And Alexander Chernayev won a game last year in this position. Knight b6, queen h4. Yeah, I mean, it seems weird to let that queen smoothly pop back into the game. Yeah, knight d5 is a move there. That's the main move, it looks like, but it seems like all draws. Castles, rook d1, queen c8, knight d5. This is Dusan Popovic versus Horvath Joji. Hungarian Team Championship 2018. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of drawish. What happened there? They just agreed to a draw? Knight takes b6, yeah. So Popovic was just offered a draw with knight takes b6. So anyway, your opponent played this. Yeah, this is interesting. Let me see the games here. I don't recognize these games. So white doesn't have to take that pawn. I know that one of the ideas for black is to do like rook c8 and take here, but I have to tell you that I don't really like this type of endgame. where we're giving up that bishop on c3. Is it possible to play any other move for black? Is like this a move? I don't know why I think I want to think about this queen c8 move. I analyzed this a long time ago, but I don't remember what my conclusions were. You know, you see this variation here. This is like my game with Antal Gergo. It was something like 95. The idea of my knight, you know, if the knight gets in here, it's like a benko. You have very strong pressure. You have very strong pressure down these lines. Even with the queens off the board, like queen takes. Now I can take with the F rook. Actually, I don't know which way. Probably with the F rook. It's possible to take the other way as well. Oh yeah, this is the position, so I'm not crazy. This is my analysis. But I think there's some kind of transposition of moves. Kovalevskaya versus Kuznetsova. Maybe this is even better, man. Rook F takes. Yeah, check this out. Black's actually better after rook F takes, according to the engine. Here. Okay. So let's go back. Yeah, probably queen takes c6 is a mistake, because that's a weakness, and it's not going anywhere. So you see a couple of people played bishop g5, and there's queen h4. So, I mean, I don't know. You know, it's not obligatory to take this pawn. Yeah, so this may be a good move. Let's see. Apparently, even knight b6 is playable. Knight d5 is a problem. Rook e8. Queen c8, rook c8, and then c3, right? Okay, we have a problem. So it's not good enough. This is not good enough. Yeah, that position is from a different move order. It's from a different move order. So you have to do this now. Now your A pawn is hanging. Yeah, I hate giving up this bishop. I really hate having to do that. It feels like white's going to be better. You have weaknesses on the dark squares. I'd really like to play this in a way where I don't have to give up this bishop. Like, you have to consider the alternatives. Queen c7, queen b7 maybe. But we can't. So you have to do it. Yeah, I don't know if this is good enough. I did analyze this in my YouTube video on this line. Structurally, you're good, but there's a problem with the dark squares around the king side. So you have to be really careful. Just hold on for a second. So this variation, I don't know. Maybe you can improve on it somewhere earlier, but this is the best. Okay, so takes here. Yeah, you played all the theoretical moves. You want to blockade, not necessarily win the pawns. So I don't know who are these players. Who is Sabo, Martin, Mihai? I'm not sure. He could be from Romania. He could be from Serbia, but it's a Hungarian name. Knight b6. He could be from Slovakia. But this is ridiculous. Like, this guy took on b6. That's just disgusting. White has to try to keep the bishop if he has any chance to try to win. Bishop takes b6 is horrible. So your opponent played queen h4. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, white can lose both of the c-pawns and still be fine. It's crazy to play bishop takes b6. I mean, the bishop is just a better piece than that knight. He can go a pawn down and still be okay here, probably. I don't know about bishop h6 for white, though. I'm not convinced by that move. I'm not sure. Maybe even bishop d2. I think, yeah, I mean, it's not easy. Maybe you have to play f6. I feel a little bit weird about playing e5. f6 looks safer to me. Problem is, if we have to play f6 later, then the whole 7th rank is compromised. I'm not sure we want to do that. You know, this is like concretely safer. If you can trade queens, okay, fine. But white has to avoid trading queens any way he can. You know, I don't care. You know, queen here. Queen f4. It looks like you can, like, force a trade of queens. He has to try something. Queen h3. Anything to avoid trading queens. He doesn't want to trade pieces. Now you're fine. Unless there's a problem here. Maybe there's still a problem here. That's not a problem. Yeah. So can you take it? Too dangerous? If you take on c4, you might be able to play rook d4. It's not necessary though, right? You could also play this. You gotta be careful here. Yeah. No, f6 was better. This is why, you know, white does not want to trade bishop for knight like that guy did. Because this ending is better for... This ending is potentially better for white. The bishop is a better piece than the knight. So interesting move. a4. Rook takes c4, a5. And now, the problem is his rook can't get in the game. I don't know, man. I mean, you might be better here. It's really weird. But I can't believe you're better, but it's impossible to get his rook in the game. You can bring your king to the center. That's crazy. But I don't think you should move the knight. I think you should centralize your king. If you want to win this position, I think you have to carefully bring your king up into the game. So f6, king f7, king e6. I guess he has a way to get in, right? He could play rook a3. He has rook a3, rook b3. I didn't see that. But first he'll have to deal with the back rank and stuff. I mean, you're just trying to win a pawn here. And this is a draw. Now it's a draw. I guess you had the better half of the draw. Right. This has to be a draw. Right. Now you're worse. So what happened here? So on this move, you made a mistake somewhere. With king f6 is an error. Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. No, it's probably not correct to take with the pawn. But I think it's still a draw. It still has to be a draw. But this is a blunder, right? King f6. When he moves his rook, you want to be able to attack his pawn. So if you play like king f8 instead, it's just a dead draw, isn't it? Is there a chance he's better? Just only move is rook a4, rook c5, and if he plays here, you check him again. There doesn't seem to be any way that realistically White can make progress. It's probably just a dead draw. But this is a mistake. Now. And now you're worse. And now you have serious problems. I don't know if you can draw. This is very passive. I think you have to play rook a3 and go behind his pawn. You have to defend with the rook behind the pawn here. And when he goes rook a7, you can hold. I don't know if it's enough to draw or not. You know, it's a really close ending. White is clearly better, winning according to the engine, but not that easy in practice. Yeah, your rook is bad. Your rook needs to be on like a1, you know. Three isolated pawns. So there's still a chance. It's a good move. I don't think it's going to be enough though. White has two passers. I don't know about the way he played this though. So we go to this position. Your king is way, way far out here. So first of all, he should have played rook f5, right? And then you have to play rook f7. I believe this is winning for White. Yeah. That was probably winning. I gotta flip the board. Whoa, where are we at here? I went too far. Wow, this is a really long endgame, wow. Holy crap. So, okay. Did I get this right? Yeah. So rook f5, right? Rook f5 or king e4 is winning. This is a mistake. He's still winning. He's still winning here, but I think it's a little harder, you know. So he's just narrowly winning with the two pawns. Yeah, this is a theoretical win. Not the easiest, though. I mean, at some point he can give up one of the pawns to convert to some kind of technical winning position. Maybe he doesn't have to. It's not so easy to coordinate. Yeah, it's a win. You can't stop it. Okay. Yeah, interesting game. Alright, so Kakatiri, I don't know if he's still here. This is his game. Then we got Nefedov. Alright, Kakatiri playing knight f3. Thanks, Saeeds. You could have made it harder on move 62. Yeah, I mean, there's some practical chances there still. So, alright, we're going to go with White here. Kakatiri's playing White. I don't play this variation, really, but it's good. D4 is standard. So CD4, knight D4. Black's best is E6. But bottom. Another weird move is queen b6. Best is e6. And g6 is a Marazzi, which isn't great. Alright, so here, it's up to you. Move 11. d4, d5 is a nice line. Is d4, d5 a line? On the first move? Oh, here? Yeah, weird. Very few games. Interesting. It looks like it's transposing to a semi-tarish. Tal Chishkovsky, 1976. Black score is not good. Okay, so it's a semi-tarish where you're committed to knight c6 early. The engine thinks it's okay. And that just transposes. Wow. Now a3, according to the engine, preventing bishop b4. So it's an interesting suggestion, move 11. We should add it to the Schieberspieler repertoire. Okay, knight takes d4, g6, and now we're happy we get the Marazzi. Bishop g7, bishop e3, castles, bishop e2, d6, castles. Once someone who will remain nameless dropped a piece against me here by playing knight g4. A certain 2100 player at the time. That's an interesting tactic. So castles, bishop d7, and now you can play knight c2 like Magnus's dad. But it's subtle. So Kakatiri played f3 here. I don't normally play this move yet. So the main moves for white in this position are queen d2 and rook c1. We have the move 11 German IM variation with h3 as well. This is kind of subtle. I faced that in the summer against this guy, a Hungarian FM. Well, f3 is nothing special. It's gonna transpose. Oh no, apparently you have queen b6 here. Oh shit. Wow, oh man. So this is a mistake. It's just a straight up mistake. Have I ever had this? No. Wow. No, it's a problem for white. f3 is too early. Yeah, black wasn't thinking on his feet. Because if you do knight f5, you get hit by queen b2. Knight a4. I'm sure that black has more than one move here. So this is just like a pawn up. Pawn upville. Robert Giles. I remember that name. Robert Giles. I don't know. Maybe not. Alright, but anyway, yeah, so f3 is wrong, dude. That's a serious error. But couldn't you play knight a4 on queen b6? Knight a4, queen a5. How bad is it? Well, you basically gave a tempo away. Kovalenko has 3 games here. That's sick, dude. How did he get 3 people to play this? How could he get 3... Mikhail Chisin, Niksans, and Ladva? How did that happen? That's really funny. Yeah, so f3 is a serious mistake. You have to play either queen d2, knight c2, or h3. Those are the best. Rook c1 is an old school move, but I don't think it has any special... It doesn't have any special value. I think this move is sort of like ancient. I don't see the point in rook c1. It's just committal. It's okay, but it's committal. So this is a mistake. Black doesn't take advantage, and you transpose to a normal position. Bishop takes. Oh man, this is so funny. I had a training game with a student last week with the exact same position. The exact same position. Somehow, by transposition, he also played a6. Yeah, so this is a it's a common mistake, you know, for black. Black is trying to play like a b5, but it's not easy to get in b5. Queen d2 is right. And I told him that he should play probably rook b8 or something. Rook b8, or possibly queen a5, with the idea of rook fc8 and rook ab8. Yeah, so instead of a6, black should just play a5 and blockade. That's the best move. There's no point in playing bishop c6 yet. f3 is already played, and this is already defended. So I think black's best is just a5. And then you play, like, queen d2, bishop c6. We transpose to the main line, b3. Yeah, no, bishop c3 is nothing special. So a6 is a mistake, queen d2, and then this is really bad. Rook e8 just does nothing for black, and it leaves him in a passive position with no counterplay. So you have a tremendous game here. But you still have to make forward progress. It's not so simple. I think rook here, maybe bishop f1, and then we'll see what happens. So here, this guy played rook a b1 in the database. That's a good move. And there's a Korneyev versus Berend game from 1992. Yeah, ensemble chess. A4 is a thing. A4 is a thing. But if you play a4, it's very committal, and black can play a5, and then we're just like locked. So I'm not going to play a4 unless it's my only resort. It's inflexible for white. No, I like the way that these guys played. Korneyev knows what he's doing. Rook b1. White is just better. This is a weird move. It might be good, though. I mean, the idea of playing bishop b6 looks reasonable, barring any tactics. But, I mean, objectively, like... objectively, this is a strategic mistake. What we're doing is we're blowing up our own Marazzi. Unless this somehow works tactically, you're undermining your own Marazzi. Black is threatening b5 here. So yeah, his suggestion of a4 is possible. Maybe a fluid b4. You could. I had a game like this with move 11 where, I don't know, something along these lines happened. I'm not in love with your queen here because your bishop can get trapped, but you might be able to just do something along these lines where you just keep the tension for a time. I don't know. But here you're blowing up your own center. So I think after e5, black's okay. Takes. I expect you to take with the bishop takes. And then he would play... Well, I guess he has two squares. I mean, you're probably a little better here. But my gut instinct is that black's a tiny bit closer to equality than he was before you played e5. I also don't think you should trade pieces. Don't he have a tactic here? Oh man. You walked into knight g4. Yeah. I understand. No, you didn't. Okay. I got it. I just saw it. I just saw it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you can't play bishop takes. I understand. Yeah. Okay. So you have to do this. And now he trades queens, and the position is only a tiny bit better for white. Yeah, you lost half of your Marazzi. You have half a Marazzi. Well, it's an endgame, you know, and we'd like to get closer to the center, but we can't. How about f4? Oh, it's not our turn. Okay, rook a c8. So how about f4? Black might be able to play like bishop h6, actually. But, you know, probably most people wouldn't do that. You also have to watch the c4 pawn. f4 is probably too loose. You need to be careful. So maybe this, you got to watch out for bishop h6 again. Okay, so rook fd1. How about the other one? We have serious problems with bishop e6 now. You have to be able to play b3. I was thinking the other rook. By the way, like, a4 is not ridiculous. Alright, here. I know what this rook is doing. He's on hold. And now, I see, you play rook d4. That's a neat idea. Rooks are distance pieces. But this might be okay. But, I mean, normally we would play b3. He doesn't have anything. You know, he doesn't have b5. Here, because you're defended. So, you could just play b3. Rook e d8, rook d1, takes. And then black just played a little passively. But I guess it's okay. Takes, king takes, threatening knight d6. So he's threatening knight d6 followed by b5. The impression I have of this position is that white is minutely overextended. The computer will laugh at me. So you probably play knight d5 here. You hit his e7. You could play rook d8. And now you got to get your king in the center somehow, huh? Can we wait a move? This is a little tricky, because if you play b3 here, it's time to do some calculation, bro. What happens if you sacrifice a piece at some point? You know, like, all hell could break loose. Your pawns might be, like, monsters, you know? It might not work, but we have to double check those type of lines. So knight e4. Okay, this is a good move. I missed this. Knight e4 is a good move. It gets out of the pin. You've got this. You're preventing knight d6. Yeah. So after knight e4, it's fine. It's slightly equal. Slightly equal. Slightly better for white, if we want to be generous. So did he make a mistake there? Well, I'm not sure I like knight e8, first of all. He gave you that, you know. He doesn't have to cave, like, with knight e8 right away. But yeah, this is a nice move, knight e4. Objectively, it's a draw. You know, I guess he could play this, huh? Knight d6, pawn d6. B3. You can protect your pawn. I bet Schieberspieler couldn't beat me here. But it's close. Uh-huh. Now you have rook d8. This is pretty nice. And now you have b5. I mean c5. Right. Now you have a very serious queenside majority going on. Yeah, this is a nice game, but you need to get your king in the middle before too long. Here, you can't play a3. Well, that was a cagey defense by your opponent. Yeah, I mean, now is the time. You got to get your king in the center, man. I joke with Mr. Coffee about having concrete shoes for his king. You're not centralizing your king. I would definitely centralize my king now. You're still not centralizing your king. Finally. Now, yeah, white is better, but it's probably a draw if you're playing like Peter Lako or something. E5 is a nice move to trade pieces, trade pawns. But you know, he could give you the A file. It's a good move. It's good job with the king. Yeah, I don't know if we can make progress or not. But I guess this is reasonable. What just happened? Black played G5. Did we make a mistake? Yeah, maybe, you know, you were afraid of like H5 or something. I'm not sure how to play these pawns on the king side. I gotta go pretty soon, guys, so we're gonna go through this a little quicker. B5, G5, I'm concerned about this. Rook F2. You could play Rook F2 here. I mean, it feels like you're not in any danger. Or no, he can do something there. Oh shit. He has like take king G5. What I'm wondering is like, is there a way you could like do something decisive with Rook D8? So let's see, G5 here, takes, king takes. Look where his king is. Yeah, I'm wondering about like this at some point. You're like winning his knight, aren't you? Oh. So you played B5. He plays G5. You take, he takes to this king, and you're winning his knight with Rook D8. Yeah, I don't get it. Oh, you did it. Okay, yeah, this was the game. Yeah, of course. So yeah, black went crazy. I mean, he can't let you. I mean, he should have just played, you know, G5 immediately. I mean, I guess it's probably a draw. Like take H4 takes Rook H2, and there's not enough pawns on the board. He's slightly worse, but he can probably hang on, just barely. He is a little worse. If you take this variation, you know, he has to trade his knight. Let's say attempt to trade his knight. No, but even here, your pawns are still a little dangerous. Alright. So yeah, you win the piece, and you're winning. That was well calculated. You have 95. And your king is in the zone here. You actually don't even... Yeah, you got it. Okay, you're in the square of the pawn. Okay, good game. And last game from Nefedov. Nefedov. The Stafford Chess Club. My latest over the board game to analyze, please. All 3 games were not analyzed. All last 3 games were not analyzed. Wolfhampton, blah, blah, blah. It's a win, a draw, and a loss for me. So please take your pick. Okay. Take your pick. The last 3 games. What do we got? Pavel with black. Slav? Do I have to? Okay, let's see number 13. B3. He's black against b3, and then the 14th game, you're white in a Caro-Kann. Alright, I'll take the b3, Bob, for $10. This is the most interesting of the three. So, Nefedov black against b3. I've never played b3 against you, probably. Knight f6. PayPal was breached. Check your accounts for unusual activity. That would be a lot of worldwide money, man. It's a good thing I only have like $100 in my PayPal account. Damn, that's pretty disturbing. Thank you, Move11, for our security update. b3, knight f6, bishop b2, g6. Bishop takes f6. So it's like a Trompowsky, but where white is like weakened his queen side unnecessarily. Good evening. So, yeah, this is a simple and decent way for black to play against the b3. Most players are not going to play bishop takes f6, I would think. Funny how many of them did here. The majority of them played it, but I feel like that's just nothing. This is really objectively nothing special. I don't think that white should play bishop takes f6. I bet the computer doesn't even like it. The engine doesn't like it. They're probably all just noobs playing bishop takes f6. So this is a standard position. Also, I played the English defense, so I did what he's done with black, and I know that it's nothing special. It's probably equal. So there's a couple ways I could play this. You know, if white plays c4, like he did in the game, you have the option here. Yeah, I guess you don't need to do it. I don't know if I like c4 objectively. But I guess it's normal. Okay, so Nefedov here played d6. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think f5 is standard. You'll later... I know the one plan is to do like d6, knight d7, knight f6. Play it like a Leningrad Dutch. You also have the maneuver knight c6, knight e7, Pavel. So there's a couple ways to do this. You can do this and this, or you can do this and this, like a King's Indian. You definitely don't want to wait too long with f5, because you need to play it. And now e3... Yeah, e3, knight d7. Yeah, I guess it's too late. Had you played a different way here, I mean, it's theoretically possible you could do like b6, double fianchetto. I'm really big on the double fianchetto these days. Alright. Here, here, here. Yeah, it's very similar to a Trompowsky. I'm really... I think, you know, knight f6 is normal. And c6 is kind of normal. But I'm a little careful about c6, though. Do we want to play c6 or not? White could get, like, this minority attack with b4, b5. Yeah, so I'm kind of on the fence about c6. You don't have to play it, theoretically. What about exchanging on c3, white must take with d-pawn? That's possible, of course. That's possible. What if you don't play c6? What if you do played it differently? You could play like rook b8, a6, rook b8 type of thing. Let's say here. Let's see. So let's say rook b8, I don't know, rook b1, a6, castles. My question is, can we play without c6 or not? h5, h4. Let's say like here. Oh my god. Nefedov, did you just do that? Seriously? You're doing that? Nefedov is... He's like scrolling through his... Why is he doing that? Dude, I'm like analyzing your game now. Yeah, you're clicking all the games. We just like... You just started moving us to different games and stuff. So I'm not sure if you have to play c6, but I guess it's okay. c6, rook b1, knight f6, castles, queen e7. You know, and this is my point, more or less, that he has a break that he would otherwise not have here. No, so at the end of the day, less pawn moves is less weaknesses. Maybe I like this plan the best, dude. Seriously. f5, and then screw the c6. What if we don't even do d6? So let's do f5 immediately. That's the first priority. Yeah, Saeed's was talking about this. So a lot of people do like rook c1. Now, my question is, can you do something like this? For example, here's a Gawain Jones game. Can we do like knight c6 and bring the knight back here to guard d5? We could still play d6 though, that's no problem. So I guess, yeah, Saeed's is pointing out this. You can do this if you want to. Ulf Anderson played that, that's funny. But it's not really my cup of tea. So I think this is an option. Knight c6, d4, knight e7. I guess it's not very enterprising. Alright. I think with that you really need the b6 in. Okay, this is not so great. The way you played it is okay. You're following a Stupak game. Your countryman. Is he... No, he's not Ukrainian. He's from like Belarus or something. Sorry. My bad. Stupak is not from Ukraine, right? My bad. Alright, c6. Castles. Nefedov's not from... Yeah, Nefedov's from England. United Kingdom. The Brexit. Brexitville. Brexit land. Rook b1, knight f6, castles. Leon Pleister, 1997. He's from Belarus. Okay. He's much younger than me. Queen e7. Now b4. That's my fear. Wade has this one break. But it's not a big deal. I guess if he plays b5, you can lock it up with like c5. That's funny, you have a master game here. a6. Nefedov didn't make any pawn moves. It's probably safer. So the question is now, yeah, do you lock it up? I mean, I feel like you played it the safest way to lock the position. But the computer hates it. Because you're going to have to play some opposite color bishop position or something. Knight f4. And now you did g5. Wow, the engine really hates that. Okay, like clearly g5 isn't necessary. And it weakens your white squares. No, so I think this is going to be an issue later on. Nefedov just didn't want to trade. I expected you were trading here into opposite color bishops. Maybe bishop takes, knight takes, bishop takes. But I would prefer not to have played g5, and then it's fairly solid. The white could invade down the a file. It's not that easy to do that. Yeah, I mean, he's got a big knight on d5. I don't like this. So you managed to trade off his knights. Good. Yeah, and this is unpleasant. I mean, this pawn here. But I guess you did a good practical thing. Now f4. Yeah, maybe he was afraid to play this. But f4 is interesting. I don't like this square at all. You know, knight g6 is really ugly. If f4, you probably have to take. That looks pretty horrible, but maybe it's not that bad. I mean, your knight just like blocks here. You come queen e7. Maybe it's not that bad. But it seems like you're out of your element in this game. Yeah, this is really ugly. You never should have played g5. g4, hg4, fg4, queen g5 check, queen f6 check, and then he plays for a win. Alright. So what's happening after queen e7? The obvious question. I wonder. Queen e7, he doesn't have trade queens. I mean, he could play something like that, right? But if he went into this ending, it looks pretty bad. This pawn is bad, this pawn is bad. But I was thinking maybe this isn't so bad. Maybe this is... Maybe you could somehow, like, draw this position. As long as he doesn't have, like, a protected passed pawn. I'm not sure that you're lost here. He might go into this. And the computer says white is winning. Nice. I thought you'd have a practical chance. So it's all lost. I really was optimistic there. There was a chance to hold that. This is a disaster, though. Not the normal Nefedov that we love and know. Yeah, this was pretty disaster. g5. There's no... You know, the onus is on him to do something. So... You could play h5, as the computer points out. White will probably almost 100% play h4. I mean, I think that's the problem. It's like hard to win with this system. At the end of the day. It's probably very hard for either side to win. You're hopeless when you play black pieces. Well, let's look at the exact move order. I think the first priority here is to play f5. White will play knight c3. As I mentioned, like, this is definitely a possibility. This is the way, like, Hikaru would play, or Jim from our stream. I wonder if white actually should play g3 here, preempting. Yeah, d5 is a move, apparently. That's a totally different ballgame. Yeah, it's reversed. Yeah, move 11, you're right. This is a reversed... You're right. This is a reversed English defense. Takes. Queen takes. Knight c3. And I don't know where to go, though. Yeah, move 11's right. This is a good recommendation. Anyway, that was a bad game by Nefedov. Not up to his normal standard. The problem is that white has a plan and black doesn't. So I guess around here, you know, you gotta... You took my advice and played c5, but maybe we have to be a little cagier here. I'm not sure about bishop e6. Alright guys, I gotta go. It's late for me. 10 p.m. I turn into a pumpkin. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks all for tuning in. We'll see you for the rapid chess on Friday, tomorrow morning at 11:30. And yeah, a6 might have been better. I'm not sure if c6 is absolutely necessary. Then Sunday Simul, if you can make it. Sunday Simul at 6:30 CET. Thanks, guys. Sorry we couldn't do a deeper analysis of this game, Nefedov. We'll see everybody later. Bye-bye.